And I'm Brandon.
And you're tuned into A Life Worth Loving. Thank you again for joining us. We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Like Remy said, we're super excited to have you back. And we're happy to, just share some more goodness that we've come across and things that we've learned.
So, Brandon and I were listening to this sermon by Pastor Dharius Daniels, and he said something super profound. And his direct quote is, "You're not just married to their character, you're married to their choices." And for us, that was like mind blown. So we were like, oh my God, this is so cool. Let's talk about it more. And as we, in our personal time, ended up dissecting what that statement meant, we thought that it would be fun to bring our conversation to you guys.
For sure. And if you want to reference this sermon, it's called 3 Keys to Decision Making by Dr. Dharius Daniels. So it's a great message, and check it out on YouTube.
So we just came up with a few questions that we felt were in line with that statement that we're just going to go through with you guys today.
Yeah.
So first one,
let's dive in.
We wanted to ask each other if we agree with this statement and why.
Let's reiterate the statement.
Okay.
You're not just married to their character, you're married to their choices.
And we do have our notes again today. Yeah, we actually been preparing for these episodes, which I don't know, we care so much about this, and we just want to make sure that when we do come to you, we have prayed over what we're talking about, and we're coming to you with actual with fruit from our quiet time. And this is the fruit from our quiet time.
Apple fruit. Okay. Dad joke. Yeah, so babe, this statement, do you agree with it?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. When you're married or when you're dating, every single choice you make affects me or that person, for those who aren't dating me. But whether or not you make a good decision or a bad decision, I'm affected the same way.
Absolutely.
Whether or not you use wisdom to make decisions or use discernment to make decisions, that affects me. So if you decide today to go rob a bank, I'm affected by that bad decision. And me and this baby have to go on without a father because you'll be in jail. So that is a decision that's a more dramatic decision, but that's one that we have to, where we reap the negative consequences versus some of the good decisions that you make where you decide to pray over our family every day and you decide to actually get up and go to work and not be a lazy bum and just stay in bed all day. You going out and providing for us is a positive decision that impacts our family. You choosing wise community and godly friends is a decision that affects our marriage and our relationship. So it's just small decisions that you make, even on the negative side, but something that's a little bit more realistic than robbing a bank. If we lived by that statement, happy wife, happy life, we would be in trouble because everything that makes me happy isn't good for me. So if you say yes to me wanting to just blow $700 on a pair of jeans just because it may or may not make me happy, then that's not a good decision.
Right.
So you being a husband and you being a leader, sometimes you have to tell me no, and that could be a better decision than telling me yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And even with that statement, sometimes the character isn't enough. The character has to live up, to who they are to make that decision. Sometimes we have to seek wise counsel. You have to make the decision to seek wise counsel. Like you said, with me praying over you, I have to make that decision every day. I have to continuously show up for you. So me just being a good man isn't enough. You have to carry through with the action, like with love, right? Dharius Daniels spoke about that in his sermon. He said, love isn't enough. When I say I love you, that's not enough. I have to show that I love you. I have to make that commitment consistently to come home, to show up when you're unable, to cook for you, to help clean up, not just say, I love you. I love you.
Right. But that's all on you.
It's all on you. You got this. I have to show up and give you my all. Absolutely. And that's the decision you make when you love someone. So yeah, I agree 100%.
And the last thing I'll say about that is your character is supposed to be something good. Like, we don't want you guys to think that you can have bad character but good decisions, because at the end of the day, they are synonymous. However, they both need to exist separately. So you should be a person of good character. You should be a man or a woman of valor. You should have integrity, but it shouldn't stop there. You should also use all those positive traits to make good decisions and to make thoughtful decisions that include, how could this affect my family? As we were talking about making good decisions, one of the best decisions we think we made is picking each other. So we're going to talk about what that process looked like for us.
Right. So the question is, what criteria did we have when it came to picking each other?
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
This is layered.
This is layered.
It's layered because we were in different places when we met.
So you want me to start?
Yeah, you can start.
All right. So it's interestingly enough, I didn't have much criteria. I was looking for a partner. You know, of course, I wanted my partner to be beautiful, easy on the eyes, and that you are, right? But you checked a lot of my boxes, right? Like, you were, you know, beautiful, intelligent, and you brightened up my day every single day. Like, you know, without even being with you physically, like in person, because we dated virtually. Just talking to Remy, she spoke life into me all the time. And, you know, and through that pandemic era, especially in the beginning, I needed that. I needed someone to bring light into my life, and Remy did that. And I didn't know I needed that. I didn't know I was in the dark. Wow. So yeah. So you actually checked a lot of boxes that I didn't have. You know, so you were interested, like, getting to know you. I was introduced to things that I needed in my life. So that made it easy for me to pick you. And I think, and we spoke about the shedding process. It helped me to make the decision to let things that I was involved with go. You were showing me who Christ was through you. You know, just letting you into my life, and you not judging me. You know, letting me know I could forgive myself, helping me get through difficult conversations. Like, I didn't know how to talk to my family about certain things. And he was like, well, you could just put it to him like this. And I was like, oh. And I would come back like,
it worked.
It worked. So you helped me through life. So that was like a big, that was the criteria for me, a life partner. You want that partner in your life to help make life easier for you. And this young lady did it for me.
That's so sweet. Wow, and it's interesting because half of the stuff that he just said, we weren't even dating yet. And we were in two very different places when we met. So to answer the question on my behalf, but I have to give you some background first. I was in a season of singleness when Brandon and I met. And we do have an episode coming on how we met. So you'll get the full load there, but just to give you a little snapshot or a little glimpse, shall I say. During my season of singleness, I first focused on healing myself because I had a lot of wounds that I never really addressed, that I didn't even know were really there until I took the time to be alone and sit with myself and then say, oh my goodness, like, you never healed from that. So I took a lot of time healing before I even went into what does this man look like for me, because I couldn't figure that out. I couldn't figure out what I needed until I could have a pure heart to do so. My heart was a little bit influenced by my pain. So instead of like being able to identify the man who I needed my strength, I was identifying the man who I needed in my weakness.
Wow.
So I had to become strong first, and I had to become whole, and I had to heal. Once I got through all of that stuff in my season of singleness, I was able to trust what it is that I wanted in a man. And I wasn't swayed by certain things that I would be swayed by beforehand. So like, I couldn't be swayed by the amount of money you make. And I couldn't be swayed by your sphere of influence or what you do for me financially or even romantically. I'm a huge romantic person, but when the romance isn't genuine and it's not from a place of of where it's not from a pure heart, I still accepted that romance because I had such a need for it.
Shout outs to you, babes.
Yeah, but I said all that to say that even in that, when Brandon and I met, before I knew anything about him, I loved his spirit and I loved his soul. He was just so kind and he was so sweet, and even just like the getting to know each other process, it wasn't forced. It was the most genuine conversations with a stranger that I've ever had in my life. And he felt so close to me and so personal to me the first time we spoke. So I enjoyed that familiarity that I had with someone I did not know. And it felt ordained, it felt intentional, and it felt on purpose. So while all those feelings were good and felt real, I still had to go back and reference, like, what did God tell me in my private time? And if that didn't align, then I had to err on the side of what did God tell me over what do I feel. So that's why we ended up breaking up during a small season of our relationship, and Brandon had to do some work on his own because, like we said in the beginning, we were at different places when we met.
For sure.
And his growth ended up coming during that season of us meeting and us breaking up. So that was a lot of
that shedding process was continuous.
So when it came to reevaluating what it is that I wanted in a partner, I spent a lot of time talking to God about that, and I'm like, can you just tell me? Like, I don't know what I want. I know it doesn't work, but like, help me figure this out. So with just like a lot of private time, a lot of reading, a lot of just like realizing what a marriage looked like, I went there. I wasn't even like, what do I want my next boyfriend to look like? I skipped through all that and I said, what do I want my husband to be like? And what do I want him to look like? Because if I'm not looking for my husband, then I can easily get distracted and waste time with boyfriends. So I knew that the next person I dated, I wanted to see marriage potential. So now the criteria. I wanted us to be equally yoked in all areas, but mainly equally yoked through the sense of religion, and not even like I wanted to focus more on relationship with God than religion, because you can have religion and still be an awful person. Like, there's a lot of Christians out there that we know who are just evil and mean, and you don't want to be around them because their spirit stinks. So I wanted someone who just like loved God and loved people. And when you're able to love God and love people and also love yourself, then that loving relationship just flows so much more easily. And I've always envisioned, well, not always, because that would be incorrect, but while I was on that walk of singleness with myself and God, when I did think about my husband, I thought about us going to church together and serving together and praying together and tithing together. And you can do all those things as a single person, but marriage is meant to be collaborative. I don't want to do all those things by myself when I have a husband. I want to do those things together with my partner, with my husband. So I want us to be equally yoked in that area. We would also need to be equally yoked when it came to how we decided on financial decisions and what we believed as far as relationship with God and religion is concerned. Because if I believe that he should be the leader, but he believed that I should do everything, then that's a disconnect. And when you start to have, when you're unyoked in whatever area, so you'll also have discord. So just to make sure that we were aligned in certain things, like even in celibacy, that was something that was a non-negotiable for me. For the man that I was to date after that season of singleness, I wanted us both to be on the same page when it came to waiting for marriage until we had sex with each other. And we'll also get into that a little bit later, but that ended up being a deal breaker for Brandon and I. And it wasn't a blatant deal breaker. Like, he didn't say, oh God, I'm not interested in that. He was like, yeah, we'll try. And then there was some temptation that presented itself between the two of us. And with that, he tried to make a move on me. And and I had to stay true to what it is that I committed to, because, and that's why vision is important too. To have a vision for your relationship and for your significant other and for your marriage. Because if you don't have a vision, then you'll just be swayed with the wind. If I did not have a vision of celibacy in marriage, purity in marriage, a godly marriage, a man who I adored and who adored me, then I'd be swayed. So because I saw clearly what it was that I wanted in a husband, I was able to know what that didn't look like as well.
For sure, and it helps you solidify that decision to make, like, hey, this is not going to work right now, you know, and that's what happened. Remy making that decision to of course we're gonna get into it, but for you to make that decision to say, hey, we're gonna have to take a break here, that actually strengthened us, you know, to build that trust. That allowed me to trust you more with you know, just your spirituality, and it was a lesson learned for me, you know. So I definitely commend you on, you know, your decision making, and like you said, that vision that you had was key for you to just, you know, steer your direction and you know where you're going in life. The decision making that I had to go through to say, like, hey, I'm going to read the word more. I'm going to pray more. I'm going to focus on doing these devotionals with Remy every single day. Even if we're on break, I'm going to text her, give her a call, and say, hey, I found a devotional for us. Do you mind starting this with me? Can we do it? Can we start today?
He took more initiative when we broke up than when we were together. And one of the reasons why we broke up was because I wasn't sure if I can trust him as a spiritual leader over our household. So, and I don't think he actually knew that part. So for him to go into this place of like, how can I show up more for her spiritually, and how can I lead this relationship while we're broken up, that spoke volumes.
I had to improve on things, like even submitting my sexuality and slowing things down to truly commit to this life of celibacy with Remy. It took a lot. It took a lot of decision makings within that process. But yeah, it was a wonderful process, and we got through it, and we ended up back together through lots of work, and now we're here.
The third one for picking our people, or picking our people. It's just us in this relationship.
What area? This one?
No. Oh wait, we didn't even say these two. We were here this whole time.
We were here this whole time.
Oh my God. Okay, we have two quick ones. We'll go fast. Being a good person, not just a doer of good things. And that is just like pretty self-explanatory, so we don't have to go too far into that. But you can do good things and still have a malicious heart while doing it, or do things just to say I did it, and that just takes away from it in general. So you are a very good person, but you did good things, and you did it with a good heart posture.
And I think that ties back into the action behind the noun, I guess. Like even when you say, when you talk about the character in the decision, the decision is the follow-up behind the character. You know, the commitment is the action followed up behind love. Yeah. So we're continuously proving who we are, and like not trying, but just showing up every single day. Yeah. It's funny because when we first started dating, you know, you were just showing up for everyone. I literally had to share you, you know, like I'll be on the phone with you, and then someone will call or pop up, you know, going through a crisis, and you were able to be that counsel for them to get them through. And sometimes selfishly, I'm like, why? This is my time, you know. Like we got like 10 minutes left. Yeah, we got.
She's going through something.
Right.
She needs me.
But I understood I understand your assignment. I understood your assignment to help others, you know, going through that process, because I needed you. Yeah. You know, like and I couldn't be selfish. I had to, you know, let you be who God intended you to be, to really just show up for people, you know. So I do appreciate that and love that about you.
That's your sweet, Mr. Yeah. That's your sweet. And our last one for that question is just to want the same big things at the same time. Yeah. And we think that that's really important, because if you have everything else that checks the box, but let's just say you don't want to have children and I want to have children, or you want to get married and I don't want to get married, or you want to live in Hawaii and I want to live in Africa, those things will end up causing so much discord in our marriage, where someone, or in our relationship, I guess, if we're not married, someone will have resentment, and someone will feel like they are compromising too much.
Missing out, yeah.
So to want the same big things at the same time is so important, because you also just don't want to go into a relationship. You don't want to go in blind. So to have those conversations early will allow you to leave early. To have those conversations early will allow you to say to yourself, oh shoot, we're not on the same page. Like, he's a great person, he's a man of God, but he's not my man of God. Like, there's someone out there who don't want to have kids too, so you can go be with them, and I'm sure you'll still be an excellent husband. Like, you can do it in honor, and you can do it like in a way that's not
gracefully.
Yeah, you can be graceful by leaving. And oftentimes we get caught up on the emotions and the feelings, and we don't have these real talks. So it was important, like second, third conversation important for us to talk about those things. And this is before we were dating. Like,
for sure.
What are your dreams and ambitions even? Like, where do you see yourself living, and blah, blah, blah. And like, how many children do you want? And once we decided to like actually start dating, we had conversations of, what if we can't get pregnant? And this is before we were even engaged. Like, just so we can know that if we do run into the challenge that we did run into, but if we ran into that challenge and it was long lasting, how will we handle that? Would we be open to adopting? And we both agreed that we want children. So regardless of what that looks like and how that comes to us, that's a big thing that we agreed on.
Yeah.
So that was important.
All right. So here's our final question, and it's a layered question. What's the best advice we've been given, and what is the best advice that we're currently living in?
Yeah, so good. So the best advice we've been given, I don't know, we've been given so much good advice, but I would say that from our marriage counselors, we learned that you should not look to your partner to complete you. They should complement you, and you guys should together be a well-oiled machine, equally yoked, walking in the same direction. But that person should not be there solely to fill a void. Because once, like, that's just not realistic to put that expectation on another person. Yeah. And the other side of that, which is from their pastors, also our pastors too, Sarah Jakes Roberts and Pastor Teray, is that you should need your partner. So it's balancing that line of not looking at that person to complete you, but still understanding and recognizing that as my husband, I need you. And as your wife, I need you to need me. So I need your intimacy.
Sure.
I need your words of affirmation. I can affirm myself all day long, but I want to hear that from you too, as my husband. And I need that romance from you. I love when you want to slow dance in the living room. And I could be totally okay, but that just like makes things better. So I do need you. And I love that advice, because we're so stuck on being independent, and that's not how marriage works. Like, marriage is not an independent thing. Like, marriage is two people as one, and that marriage itself should be independent from all others. But when it comes to him being a person in this marriage, like, we're in this together. Yeah. So we don't function as two independent people. We function as two individuals coming together as one. But yeah, we're one. We together are one.
Yeah, and I think it's actually interesting when you were talking about that. The need is for me to carry out my duties, what I vowed to you. You know,
exactly. Yeah,
it's for me.
So good.
It's like, what you need me to do is to be your husband. You know, and it's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You know, you're not being needy. It's for me to show up. You need me to show up.
Right.
You know,
I need you to lead.
Exactly.
I need you to choose me.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. That's good. So, baby, the best advice that you've been given.
I would definitely say, just constantly talk to your partner and get it off your chest, and also hear.
Slow to speak.
Yeah, slow to speak, and listen to your person.
That's one thing we learned from our counselors, is being slow to speak and quick to listen. That's also in the Bible, but they both pointed out to us. All right, so for this last part, for real this time, it is the best advice that we are currently living. So, of course, we live the advice that we were given, but on a deeper layer, I would say one thing that I'm trying to live is making sure that Brandon feels like the most respected man in the world by the way I honor him. And I read this book called Marriage After God. And one thing that they pointed out to me, which I've never heard before, is your husband should feel like the most respected man in the world, and your wife should feel like the most cherished woman in the world. And to put those two things into perspective, just like opened up a whole new world of how I wanted my husband to feel. And respecting him comes in every single decision that I can make, like even if it's as simple. Actually, I do have a fun example. So my mom was here last week, and we were like excited to do stuff with the nursery, but Brandon and I have been sleeping in the nursery because we like that mattress better. It was our guest room right before we got the crib and stuff, so we were still sleeping in that room. And my mom wanted to go into that room at the same moment that Brandon wanted to take a nap in that room. And I asked Brandon if he wouldn't mind going into our room, and he's like, I want to sleep on this mattress, and I left it there. I had the decision to either honor my mom's wish in that moment to get Brandon out so we can work on the nursery, or to honor my husband's wish and to respect him in that moment. And I know that's like a very simple example, but it could have gone to the point where I'm like, okay, babe, I need you to move into the nursery so we can do this, and that wouldn't have been honoring him. Because his sleep is important too. His comfort and his rest is important. And if I'm not respecting something as simple as that, how can you trust me to respect him when it comes to something that's heavier?
That's good.
So within that, I told my mom, like, let's just do laundry. Let's wash all the baby's clothes then, because Brandon was asleep in there, and I had to deal with it on the back end of her being like, well, what if I don't feel like doing it tomorrow? And I'm like, well, it's just not gonna get done then, but my man want to sleep. So I try to make decisions that equal in you feeling respected.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So I'd say that's the best of what I'm living through.
Yeah. I love that. I would say for me, the best advice I'm living in is to, within our marriage, is to be the best husband that I could be. You know, I think we've learned this together, but as a husband, I'm here to serve you.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes we have this ego where it's like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to show up I'm going to do the things that I don't want to do for you. Like either way, if I don't feel like doing it, I feel like I'm honoring our marriage by just doing things. You know, it's not just because I don't want to hear about it on the back end or whatever it is. I'm here to serve our household. You know, like like you said, like there's order to things, and there's order to our house, our household. So if things are out of order here and Remy just can't get to it, I have to step up. It's not right for me to just sit on the couch and just change the channel and ignore what's going on in our household. So I think I would say being a servant, you know, a servant husband is something that I'm living out. You know, and it's a challenge. Yeah. Because like we spoke about,
you do really well at it, and I know it's not always a preference or even easy.
Yeah,
but to still choose, and that goes back to decisions.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you going to do in this moment?
So yeah, those are our 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 questions that we have for this week's episode, and we hope that we were able to inspire you, encourage you, and impact you, and that you're able to relate to these. To our answers and to our journey. And we just wanted to share all that with you. Yeah, shout out to Dr. Dharius Daniels for this topic. Yeah. It really got some strong conversations going in our house. Yeah. And just we're continuously learning. We watched it about 2 or 3 times, just picking up on different things that he referenced. And I'm sure some more things will be revealed to us. Yeah. So we encourage y'all to check it out. And like we said, we'll drop the link in the bio or in the description. And we want to thank you for coming back. And we welcome our new viewers. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll be back. And put your notifications on so that when we do have another episode, you get notified right away. Yeah. So. Thank you guys for joining, and we can't wait to see you again next Monday. Peace.